Welcome, viewers, to a journey through the deadliest military campaigns in human history. For centuries, the towering Alps were known as an unbreakable shield guarding the Italian lands. Generals believed that any army marching through this frozen wasteland would sign their own death warrants. History proves this mighty barrier was a deadly bait for extreme and brilliant military minds. Let's explore why Hannibal and Napoleon freely sacrificed their armies to conquer the Alps. Look at the Italian peninsula, a glorious fortress crafted by the ancient gods. Southward lies the Mediterranean Sea, guarding the empire's heart from sudden naval threats. Yet the true masterpiece of this natural defense system stands proudly along the northern border. The Alps, a colossal wall of jagged gray granite, cutting violently across the blue, ancient sky. Roman strategists gazed at these towering peaks with arrogance and supreme military confidence. They believed no mortal force could ever conquer this majestic but hostile, frozen wasteland. Any invading commander foolish enough to bring a heavy army here would face utter ruin. The brutal mix of sub-zero temperatures and blinding blizzards was a perfect executioner. Deep, terrifying chasms patiently waited to swallow thousands of men and their exhausted horses. Roman legions stood guard at the southern foothills, relaxing in the warm Mediterranean breeze. They knew that Mother Nature herself was their greatest and most merciless commanding general. Why waste Roman blood when the biting winter winds could effortlessly freeze the enemy to death? For generations, this reality dictated the entire military doctrine of the Roman Republic. No heavy infantry, siege weapons, or massive supply trains could survive the brutal mountain ascent. Sheer vertical drops and razor-sharp rocky paths made traditional troop formations impossible. Even local mountain tribes struggled to survive the brutal winters, hidden within these rocky caves. The Alps were not just a mountain range. They were an absolute psychological barrier to the mind. It was a legendary death zone, where human ambition was crushed beneath millions of tons of ice. So, the Senate in Rome slept peacefully, unaware of the terrifying storm brewing in the north. They underestimated the terrifying willpower of a man driven by pure hatred for the Roman state. They failed to realize that a geographical barrier is only effective against ordinary minds. Defending a fortress surrounded by deadly mountains, would you ever expect an attack from above? History teaches us that absolute security often breeds the most dangerous strategic blindness. The Romans relied heavily on the Alps, ignoring the possibility of the impossible. They forgot that true military genius often thrives where ordinary logic dictates complete failure. The icy peaks stood in eternal silence, holding a dark secret that would shatter the ancient world. A secret proving how a seemingly impenetrable fortress can become a trap for its own defenders. The stage was set for the most audacious and perilous military maneuver in human history. The illusion of invincibility would be shattered by a Carthaginian military masterpiece. The impenetrable wall of stone and ice would soon meet the unstoppable force of human vengeance. In 218 BC, Hannibal stared at the terrifying white peaks with pure determination. He commanded a massive army of veterans, mercenaries, and giant African war elephants. Marching this colossal force into the frozen jaws of the Alps was considered military madness. Hannibal knew striking the heart of Italy was the only way to destroy the Roman Republic. He deliberately chose the path of maximum suffering to achieve the ultimate element of surprise. The great general forced his massive war beasts to march through freezing mud and blinding snowstorms. It was a chaotic and terrifying spectacle of men and monsters challenging the wrath of nature. Fast forward 2 millennia, and another military genius would replicate this absolute madness. In 1800, Napoleon faced a desperately critical situation against the Austrian force. Like Hannibal, the French first consul realized that predictability was the fastest path to defeat. He gathered his exhausted army and pointed his sword toward the treacherous Great St. Bernard Pass. Napoleon brought an artillery division, pulling heavy cannons through the freezing winter snow. Hollow tree trunks were used as makeshift sleds to drag massive bronze guns up the steep vertical cliffs. Both commanders understood a terrifying truth. The impossible is often the only viable option. They weaponized the very terrain meant to protect their enemies, turning geography into a sword. Hannibal's great elephants, beasts of the hot desert, shivered violently, climbing the steep, icy slopes. Napoleon's starving soldiers, wearing thin coats, pushed heavy cannons against the raging winter wind. These parallel moments in history showcase the sheer terrifying audacity of great leadership. They ignored the established rules of warfare, rewriting strategy with their soldiers' frozen blood. Could you order your loyal men to march into freezing doom just to achieve a tactical surprise? Defenders in Italy remained oblivious, trusting their eternal rocky guardians to protect them. But these guardians were conquered by sheer willpower and an astonishing disregard for human life. Both armies moved like dark shadows across the endless, blinding white canvas of the frozen Alps. Every single step forward was a massive victory against gravity, exhaustion, and freezing cold. Hannibal rode his surviving horse through biting winds, his eyes fixed firmly on the southern horizon. Napoleon walked alongside his suffering troops, sharing their freezing misery to keep morale high. Traditional boundaries of human endurance were violently stretched to their absolute breaking point. Ancient bronze armor and modern iron cannons became freezing heavy burdens, dragging men to their doom. Yet the forward momentum never stopped, fueled by the intoxicating promise of eternal glory. The commanders knew turning back meant certain ruin, while moving forward offered a slim chance. They transformed a seemingly impassable barrier into a highly classified and deadly invasion route. The impenetrable fortress was officially breached, but nature would not surrender without a dark toll. The mountain demanded a massive sacrifice of blood in exchange for this unprecedented passage. The true horror of the Alpine crossing would soon unleash its devastating fury upon the invaders. The illusion of a heroic march quickly dissolved into a desperate, chaotic fight for survival. The harsh reality of the mountains struck both armies with the sudden force of a massive avalanche. Freezing winds ripped through the narrow passes, turning every single breath into a suffocating gasp. Hannibal's men slipped on hidden ice patches, plummeting silently into the dark and bottomless pits. Desperate soldiers clung to fraying ropes, watching in horror as their comrades vanished in the white void. The giant war elephants panicked in the blizzard, thrashing wildly and crushing men beneath their feet. Alpine tribesmen materialized from the blizzard like ghosts, raining deadly spears and massive boulders. It was a relentless and devastating ruin, where the environment itself became the savage enemy. Napoleon's men fared no better, dragging heavy artillery through deep snow until their weak hearts gave out. Starving French soldiers collapsed in the freezing mud, their worn-out boots offering almost no protection. Pristine white snow was slowly stained with the dark crimson blood of thousands of exhausted, broken men. The mighty Alps transformed into a horrifying wasteland of shattered ice and broken bones. Every single agonizing step forward cost the lives of dozens of fiercely loyal soldiers. It was no longer a glorious military campaign, but a brutal, endless fight for survival. Nature relentlessly tested the absolute limits of human physical and mental endurance. Exhausted men simply laid down in the soft mountain snow, closing their heavy eyes to sleep forever. Horses collapsed under the extreme heavy weight of freezing artillery and wooden carriages. The terrifying roar of sudden avalanches buried entire companies in a single second. Yet, amid this unimaginable despair, the unbreakable will of both commanders held them together. Hannibal marched through the biting wind, his fierce gaze piercing the terrifying, blinding white storm. Napoleon pushed the heavy cannons himself, refusing to let the brutal mountain completely defeat him. Their overwhelming presence forced starving and freezing men to keep moving forward into the abyss. These leaders demanded an impossible sacrifice, trading frozen blood for military surprise. Would you follow a bold commander who leads you straight into the unforgiving, icy jaws of doom? Historical records state that Hannibal lost nearly half his massive army to the frozen mountains. Thousands of elite Carthaginian warriors vanished forever beneath the heavy, silent snowfall. The legendary war elephants, symbols of pure terror, were reduced to shivering and dying beasts. Napoleon's army emerged on the other side, completely battered and severely exhausted. The devastating physical cost was so high that it defies all standard military logic. No ordinary general would accept such catastrophic losses without fighting a single battle. But these men were not ordinary. They operated on an entirely different level of warfare. They understood the brutal toll extracted by the Alps was the ultimate price of lasting glory. Nature mercilessly purged the weak, leaving only the most hardened and resolute survivors. Those who successfully descended into Italy were no longer just regular mortal soldiers. They had conquered the wrath of the gods and were now ready to obliterate human armies. The psychological shock to the unsuspecting defenders was absolute and paralyzing. This brings us to the ultimate, terrifying truth about the majestic Alpine mountain range. The towering peaks were never a solid wall designed to keep determined invaders safely away. They acted as a brutal, unforgiving filter that eliminated 99% of generals. Only the truly brilliant 1% dared to weaponize this terrifying natural obstacle. The mountains swallowed the cowardly and the unprepared, rejecting their weak strategic desires. But they granted immortality to those willing to pay the ultimate price in human life. Hannibal Barca struck terror into the heart of the seemingly invincible Roman Republic. His stunning arrival from the snowy north shattered their false sense of total security. Napoleon Bonaparte achieved a spectacular and decisive victory at the Battle of Marengo. He crushed the surprised Austrian forces, forever altering the landscape of modern Europe. Their epic victories were forged not just by steel, but by the freezing winds of the high passes. We often view geography as a static, immovable reality defining the borders of nations. Historical giants see these massive barriers simply as temporary and highly costly toll roads. The Alps stand as a breathtaking monument to extreme human determination and total madness. Underneath the pristine, silent white snow lies the tragic legacy of thousands of forgotten souls. These ordinary men paid the bloody price for the eternal glory of their famous commanders. Was the sheer tactical brilliance worth the horrifying loss of so many innocent, loyal lives? This clash between moral cost and military victory remains heavily debated to this very day. We are mesmerized by the stunning strategic success, yet appalled by the cruel, cold sacrifice. The towering, icy peaks do not judge the morality of the violent men who cross their domains. They simply test the raw, uncompromising limits of ambition against the brutal forces of nature. According to ancient texts, the scale of this logistical nightmare was fully unprecedented. Modern historians marvel at how these exhausted armies maintained any battle formations at all. It proves the ultimate weapon in war is not a sharp sword, but absolute unpredictability. By doing the impossible, Hannibal and Napoleon totally broke the spirits of their enemies. When an enemy army seemingly drops from the sky, defensive strategies become completely useless. The Italian peninsula, once considered a safe paradise, became a sudden, brutal battleground. Their legendary crossings redefined the strict boundaries of conventional military operations. They forced future generals to look at mountains with a newfound sense of dark and deep paranoia. The glorious Alps will forever remain a majestic symbol of both stunning beauty and sheer terror. They are the ultimate historical proving ground for the most ruthlessly ambitious men on Earth. A massive, frozen graveyard where only the extraordinary achieved lasting immortality. The Alps never actively killed those men. They filtered out the weak from the immortal legends. Was their choice a necessary sacrifice for greatness, or the madness of a tyrant? Tell us below. If you enjoyed this epic historical deep dive, hit the like button, share, and subscribe for more.